My nephew had a wish that echoed with the weight of dreams, and I found myself unable to resist the pull of his hopeful gaze. I said yes, not knowing the adventure that awaited us. This is a true story. Some wishes begin as innocent whispers, but soon, they twist into something darker. Once I held that belief close to my heart. What danger could possibly lie within a simple wish, right? A solitary whisper of contemplation, a flicker of hope, seemingly innocent yet brimming with untold possibilities. Yet some wishes cling tightly, refusing to drift into the ether. Some cling tightly, they nestle deep within your chest, heavy and unyielding, biding their time. On the day of his birthday, my nephew closed his eyes tightly and whispered a wish into the universe, hoping for magic to unfold. That wish, deceptively simple, unraveled the very fabric of reality, altering the course of fate itself. How I longed to brush it aside with a laugh. Regret washed over me as I realized the weight of my decision. I should have turned my gaze, but now it was too late. A chill gripped my chest as he locked eyes with me and uttered those words. A moment suspended in time that I wish I could erase. In the depths of my heart, I long for a kindred spirit, someone who truly understands the essence of who I am. A soul who understands the depths of love. Amidst the echoes of laughter, a wave of mirth swept through the crowd. I did not. I was unable to do it. Because buried within me, I understood that desire had nothing to do with any girl from school. His gaze pierced through the air, locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. In that fleeting moment, the very foundations of my understanding of love, family, and boundaries began to shatter. I fought against the whispers in my mind, insisting it was nothing at all. Hold on for just a moment. Only a figment of my mind. Yet a deep, restless feeling began to awaken within me. It felt like an eternity since the world had laid eyes on me. Not merely glanced but truly beheld. He did indeed, and I can't decide which is more terrifying. Whether he truly saw me or if I simply allowed him to. If only I had mustered the courage to say no. Yet I chose not to. And thus unfolds the tale of the events that transpired as a result of that fateful moment. Join Heartfelt Tales Unfold and immerse yourself in true stories that reveal the intricate depths of the human heart. Believe me, the unfolding events will leave you breathless. It was a day like any other, until Leo's birthday wish pierced the air, a fragile whisper that would unravel the very fabric of our lives. Yet, perhaps the seeds of this tale had been sown long before that moment. At the age of 38, I find myself standing at the crossroads of life, where every decision feels monumental and every moment is charged with possibility. There were no children. Unemployed, the flame that once ignited our love has flickered out, leaving only shadows of what once was. Once I was bursting with vitality. I truly did. Once my nights were alive with dreams, my heart pulsed with ambition, and laughter danced through the air, filling every corner of the room. Yet life has an uncanny ability to grind you down piece by piece. Bit by bit, the transformation unfolds, and one fateful day, you gaze into the mirror, only to find a stranger staring back at you. Marcus, my husband, he's not a villain lurking in the shadows. He toils relentlessly, settles the debts. He possesses an air of politeness that captivates those around him. Yet he remains absent. He exists in the shadows, always just out of reach. Not at all. Though we share the same bed, an invisible chasm separates our worlds, each night deepening the divide between us. He used to caress me as if I were the very essence of his world. Now it feels as though I have become invisible to him. There is no battle to be waged. There was an absence of fervor. Only an oppressive silence lingered in the air. We drifted, quietly and slowly, like a boat untethered from its anchor, surrendering to the vastness around us. When I lost my job last fall, a flicker of hope ignited within me, whispering that perhaps this upheaval would draw us nearer, intertwining our lives in unexpected ways. Yet it only deepened the chaos. He plunged himself deeper into the relentless tide of work. The hours stretched endlessly, each tick of the clock echoing like a distant thunder, a relentless reminder of the time slipping away. Meetings that stretch into the night. Whispers of half-truths lingered in the air, each excuse unraveling like a thread in a tapestry, revealing a story that didn't quite hold together. Questions lingered in the air, but I found myself too drained to voice them. I was consumed by the act of feigning indifference. Then the sultry embrace of summer arrived. Then Diana, my younger sister, arrived to stay for a spell. She embodies all the qualities I lack. Vibrant, whimsical, with eyes that sparkled like stars in the night sky. She strides into a room, instantly igniting it with a vibrant energy that crackles in the air. With a determined stride, she stepped forward, Leo at her side. 19. Lofty, dynamic, whispers linger in the air, gentle and soothing, as words flow like a quiet stream, inviting listeners into a world of calm and reflection. He has always possessed a gentle sweetness that lingers in the air, a warmth that draws you in and makes you feel at home. Forever honoring the essence of respect, from the moment he could walk, he trailed behind me, his curious eyes wide with wonder, always eager to ask questions and lend a hand. He referred to me as his cool aunt. In the shadows of my childhood, he was a figure that danced at the edges of my memory, yet this time he had shed the innocence of childhood. He stepped into our home, and with him came a surge of energy that I hadn't known I craved. Not merely youth but an undeniable presence, a burning desire to know more, to uncover the secrets that lie just beyond reach. Embers flickered in the dim light, casting a soft glow that wrapped around like a comforting embrace. The air was thick with the scent of wood smoke, a reminder of the fire's gentle crackle, inviting and alive. It was a warmth that seeped into the bones, a sanctuary from the chill that lingered just beyond the walls, promising solace and safety in its radiant presence. His smile would light up the moment he caught sight of me, inquire about my well-being. Hold your breath for the response. Feels peculiar, the echoes of memories that linger in the shadows of your mind. Fingers grazing against yours as a dish is exchanged. A fleeting touch that ignites a spark of connection. A compliment that hangs in the air, stretching the moment into something electric and unforgettable. The way his eyes pierced through the surface, delving deep into my very soul. I observed. In that moment, a wave of self-loathing crashed over me for even allowing myself to notice. Yet, the reality? It was as if a spark had ignited within me, a sensation I hadn't experienced in years. Each time Marcus brushed me aside, each time he faced away from me in bed, each time his gaze drifted while I poured my heart out, Leo stood at the edge, a shadow in the dim light, his presence palpable and charged with unspoken tension, and I loathed the way my dependence on it began to grow. That night, we gathered around the table, the air thick with anticipation as we celebrated Leo's birthday. The grill crackled to life, flames dancing eagerly in the air. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow that painted the sky in hues of orange and crimson. Diana's laughter echoed through the air, a sound that danced with joy and mystery. In that pivotal moment, Leo uttered the wish that would change everything. It was a whisper of existence, a mere flicker in the vast expanse of reality. A clever quip that tickles the mind. A fleeting whisper, easily lost in the chaos of the moment. Longing for a genuine connection, I find myself yearning for someone truly real. A person who truly understands me. A soul that understands the depths of love. A ripple of laughter spread through the room. But I raised my gaze. His gaze was fixed on me, piercing through the air like a blade. His eyes remained unblinking, fixed on the unfolding scene before him. There was no smile to be found. He locked his eyes onto mine, as if attempting to convey a message that transcended spoken language. I averted my gaze. Yet a profound change stirred within me. I fought to push it away, to cast it into the shadows of my mind. I convinced myself it was all just a figment of my imagination. But that night, as I lay in bed beside my husband, an overwhelming silence enveloped me, pressing down like a heavy shroud. Leo lingered just down the hall, the air thick with anticipation. For the first time, I found myself stripped of the weight of adulthood, lost in a moment where I no longer felt like the one in charge. I sensed the weight of being an outsider. I whispered to myself that it was nothing, a mere flicker in the shadows of my mind. Yet an unseen force had begun to stir. A line had been drawn, so delicate and elusive that I could almost convince myself it didn't exist at all. Yet it truly was, and I would dare to cross it. Little did I know that Leo's birthday wish would become the catalyst for chaos, unraveling the very fabric of our lives. Yet it truly was. Was it merely a jest or something far more sinister? That was the mantra I clung to. Yet deep down it felt anything but a jest. Not in that fleeting moment. It wasn't the way he uttered those words. And especially not the way his gaze pierced through me afterward. We found ourselves seated beneath the vast expanse of the sky. In the warm embrace of family, the tantalizing aroma of food filled the air, while candles flickered softly in their glass jars, casting dancing shadows that whispered secrets of togetherness. The air was thick with warmth, a languid summer heat that wrapped around everything, making the world feel drowsy and intimate. The air was thick with the tantalizing aroma of grilled corn, mingling with the bright, zesty notes of lemon. Diana moved gracefully through the crowd, refilling drinks with a practiced ease, while Marcus sat absorbed in his phone, lost in a digital world as he always was. And then, as if summoned by fate, Leo suddenly spoke the words that would change everything. Longing for a connection, I yearn for someone who truly sees me, who can unravel the depths of my soul, and comprehend the unspoken words that linger in the shadows of my heart. A wise soul, someone who could unveil the mysteries of life and the depths of love to me. Laughter echoed through the air, a sound that danced like fireflies in the twilight. Diana hurled a napkin at him, her frustration palpable in the air. Marcus remained utterly absorbed, his gaze fixed on the task at hand, oblivious to the world around him. I willed a smile onto my face, struggled to keep pace with the unfolding drama, yet deep within, a restless energy began to awaken. A moment I never saw coming. He stood apart, the laughter of the others echoing around him, but he remained silent, a shadow in their joy. He held his ground, unwavering, his expression betraying nothing. He locked his gaze onto mine, lingering for a heartbeat longer than necessary. As the night deepened and the world outside quieted, I found myself in the kitchen, the rhythmic sound of water splashing against the plates echoing in the stillness. The light above the sink flickered weakly, casting shadows that danced across the walls, while the house held a heavy silence, a palpable hush that enveloped everything like a shroud after the last guest had departed and the night deepened its grip. I didn't hear him enter, yet his presence enveloped me like a shadow in the night. He lingered in silence, his gaze fixed on me before crossing the room. With deliberate grace, he extended a glass from the table, the weight of the moment hanging in the air, and softly, barely above a whisper, he uttered, "I meant that, you know." Silence enveloped the moment, heavy and unyielding. I was unable to do it. My hands were slick with water, trembling ever so slightly beneath the relentless flow. My gaze remained fixed on the sink, feigning ignorance to the words that hung in the air. Yet my heart, it listened, resonating with his voice, unmistakably strong. He held back, allowing silence to stretch between them, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. He lingered for a heartbeat, the weight of the moment pressing down on him, before he turned and stepped into the unknown. The kitchen enveloped me, time stretching into an endless void as I grappled with the chaos that had just unfolded. It was a jest, a fleeting moment of laughter that hung in the air like a whisper of mischief. It was inevitable. He stands on the precipice of youth, a teenager navigating the tumultuous waters of adolescence. I am his aunt. But then the days began to shift, each one tinged with an unsettling sense of change. He began to linger in my presence, his curiosity igniting a flurry of questions. The small details, the books that captivated my imagination, my reflections on particular films, and my musings on the existence of soulmates. It was far from mere small talk. It was deliberate. He began showering me with compliments that took me completely by surprise. Your eyes, though weary, hold a beauty that captivates the soul. Many individuals speak to ensure their voices resonate. Words flow from your lips, each one a key to unlocking the depths of understanding. How I long for more women to embody your spirit. Each time those words escaped his lips, I could feel myself teetering on the edge, losing my grip on reality. Initially, I dismissed it. I convinced myself that his gestures were merely acts of kindness, that I was overanalyzing every little thing. Yet there came a night. Marcus lay sprawled on the couch, lost to the world in a deep slumber once more. Diana found herself surrounded by friends, laughter echoing around them as the night unfolded with endless possibilities. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the patio, Leo and I found ourselves lost in the flickering images of an old movie, the air thick with nostalgia and the promise of adventure. He leaned in, our shoulders grazing, an electric tension crackling in the air between us. He leaned in closer, a glint of mischief in his eyes as he prepared to share a secret joke. For a fleeting moment, My gaze was drawn to his lips, captivated by the promise of laughter that hung in the air. But I gazed, and the sight was even more dreadful. I held my gaze, refusing to look away just yet. That night, sleep eluded me. I lay in bed beside my husband, my gaze fixed on the ceiling fan as it turned in languid circles, each rotation drawing me deeper into the stillness of the night. I convinced myself it was all in my head, a figment of my solitude, a longing for desire, a cruel game my mind was playing. But then the night in the kitchen unfolded. In that moment, the truth crashed over me like a relentless wave, leaving no room for deception. Was it merely a joke, or something far more sinister? That was the mantra I whispered to my own heart. It all changed that fateful night in the kitchen. What is happening to me? Countless times the question echoed in my mind, haunting me relentlessly. With the dawn of each new day, an undeniable sensation washed over me. The persistent throb in my chest. Not quite guilt, but a shadow of it lingered, heavy and palpable, a murky haze of uncertainty that simmered just beneath the surface. I began to observe the subtle details that had always slipped past my awareness. There was something magical about the way Leo's eyes would ignite with joy every time my laughter filled the air, or how he always seemed to conjure a reason to linger close, slipping me small tokens, brushing against me in the hallway, holding my gaze just a heartbeat longer than anyone else dared. And may the heavens have mercy on my soul. It began as a whisper in the back of my mind, an insatiable longing that grew stronger with each passing moment. A sense of unease settled in the air, a whisper of something amiss. Felt utterly wrong. Yet it stirred within me a sensation I hadn't experienced in years, perhaps even a lifetime. As I gazed into the mirror one fateful morning, a stranger stared back at me, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Who was this person I was becoming? But then I lingered, my gaze drawn deeper into the scene. I became aware of the subtle shift in the way I brushed my hair. Adorned in the dress that embraced me like a whisper, it stirred memories of the body I once cherished. As she unscrewed the cap, the rich color glimmered under the light, promising transformation. With a steady hand, she brought the tube to her lips, the cool touch igniting a spark of confidence within her. Each stroke was deliberate, a ritual that awakened her inner strength, as the vibrant hue enveloped her, readying her for the even if it meant remaining within the familiar walls of home. It was not meant for Marcus. He wouldn't even blink if I strolled in draped in a wedding gown or wrapped in a tattered garbage bag. Yet Leo was aware. It was that look in his eyes that ignited a fire within me, a spark that made every moment pulse with anticipation. The faint glimmer danced in the darkness, as if I were a spectacle to behold. He stands as an adult now, I reminded myself. 19, nearly 20. In the eyes of the law, there existed no boundary. Yet, in the depths of morality and the tides of emotion, deity, I should have known better. Yet, I was all too familiar with the electrifying sensation of being enveloped by another's gaze. To be desired. It wasn't until the familiar sensation washed over me that I understood just how much time had slipped away without it. Each time Marcus brushed by, it felt as though I had vanished into thin air, invisible to his world. Leo leaned in, his eyes searching mine, and asked, "How did you sleep?" The truth of my state lay hidden beneath the surface. Had I been happy? Those words carried weight beyond mere sound. He truly intended for them. To emerge from the shadows after a lifetime of concealment is a perilous gamble, fraught with unseen dangers lurking in the light. Without even noticing, I began to distance myself from my husband. I would slip under the covers, feigning slumber, waiting for the moment he would enter the room. I ceased my pleas for him to speak, to venture forth, yet he remained oblivious. Perhaps he truly did, and felt utterly indifferent, in a way that only deepened the despair. As I found myself drawn deeper into Leo's orbit, every glance, every laugh, every subtle gesture exchanged between us began to pulse with life, as if they were the very air I breathed. It felt as though I had finally drawn in a breath after an eternity of suffocation. Self-loathing consumed me for it. Yet I found myself drawn in time and again, unable to resist the allure. Each time I gazed into the mirror, I was met with the haunting sight of fading lines. Yet within the depths of Leo's gaze, I beheld a figure, glowing with an otherworldly brilliance, stunning, irresistible, awake. And then under the cloak of darkness, when the world had succumbed to slumber, there was a sudden knock on my bedroom door. The The sudden knock on my bedroom door shattered the silence, sending a jolt of adrenaline through my veins. It was a gentle caress, uncertain, yet it resonated with a volume that eclipsed everything I had encountered in weeks. I remained silent. I was unable to do it. My heart pounded fiercely, each beat echoing in the silence, as if it could betray my presence through the door. I clung to silence, my heart pounding, until the sound of his footsteps faded into the distance, hesitant and wavering. Yet, despite the stillness of that night, an unspoken tension lingered in the air. All had transformed irrevocably. After that, the nights began to elongate, wrapping the world in an ever-deepening darkness. Leo would remain behind, the silence of the house enveloping him as the last whispers of the day faded into the night, feigning interest in his phone as I busied myself folding laundry and tidying the kitchen. He would share with me the intricacies of school life, the vivid memories of his childhood, and the tangled web of emotions that love had woven in the chaos of today's world. And I would lean in, captivated by every word. God, I hung on his every word as if they were the life-giving water I had been craving for years. There were moments when we found ourselves on the couch, sitting closely together, the world outside fading away. Near, it was perilously close. Our conversations transformed into a hidden realm, a sanctuary just for us. As he passed me the drink, his fingers would lightly graze my hand, sending a shiver down my spine. His fingers lingered just a heartbeat too long as he passed me the remote, a charged moment hanging in the air between us. In that fleeting moment, our knees brushed against each other, and an electric stillness enveloped us, binding us in a silence that felt both fragile and profound. Not for a full minute did the world around them breathe, as time hung suspended in a fragile balance. It burned like an inferno, not in a way that feels like a dramatic scene from a movie, yet, in that gradual, smoldering manner that slithers up your spine and settles deep in your gut. Yet, the silence lingered heavy and oppressive, as if the world held its breath, waiting for a spark that never came. Not just yet. It was on that fateful night in the living room that everything changed. Shadows danced in the faint glow of the dim lights. A flickering movie cast shadows on the walls, its whispers weaving through the air like a haunting melody. A fleeting moment, easily lost in the shadows of memory. It was a facade we both wore, a mask of concern for something that lingered in the shadows of our indifference. I must have drifted into slumber. As I opened my eyes, I found him staring intently at me, not merely observing but intently gazing, with a tender, throbbing intensity that seized my breath. I asked, my voice barely a whisper, what? He leaned in as if drawn by an invisible force and whispered, "You're beautiful." Silence enveloped me. I remained utterly still. Then he added, his voice low and filled with longing, "I've always wished you were mine." It felt as though the very ground beneath my feet had vanished into thin air. I bolted upright, my heart pounding in my chest, desperately searching for the right words. Anything. Yet, my mind was consumed by one haunting question. How long had he been carrying this burden within him? How long had I allowed him to take control? Text. I commanded him to retreat to his slumber. My voice resonated with unwavering strength, chilling. It was the only choice that made sense in that moment. And he did, without hesitation, as if the very air around him crackled with the weight of his decision. He remained silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. With a silent nod, they turned and vanished into the shadows. Yet sleep eluded me that night. The sight of him standing there with such openness and unwavering certainty lingered in my mind like a ghost, refusing to fade away. It lured me in. I yearned to erase it from my memory, yet I found myself unable to do so. But what if I told you the most harrowing revelation was yet to come? My mind began to wander into a realm of vivid dreams. I envisioned the possibilities of encountering him in another era, where the circumstances might have woven a different fate for us both. If I were not bound by the vows of marriage. If he weren't bound to me by blood. As I lay there, the echoes of our conversations began to swirl in my mind, each word a haunting reminder of what once was. His words of praise, those eyes piercing and enigmatic, held secrets that beckoned to be uncovered. His laughter echoed through the air, a sound that could ignite the darkest corners of the soul. It was then that I became acutely aware of the way I navigated his presence. As his gaze locked onto mine, I instinctively tucked my hair behind my ear, a subtle gesture that felt charged with unspoken tension. The journey of selecting tops that embraced my form just right unfolded with each careful choice. The air was thick with the intoxicating scent of my favorite perfume. As he spoke, I found myself leaning in just a fraction more, drawn by the gravity of his words. I convinced myself it was all just a figment of my imagination. He was simply being kind-hearted. I was so desperate for attention that clarity eluded me. But I wasn't just imagining it, it was over. No turning back now. The distance that once separated us was rapidly closing in, step by step, with each passing day. Yet, in the shadows, it lingered unnoticed. Diana was caught in a whirlwind of activity. Marcus wandered through life, blissfully unaware of the shadows lurking just beyond his perception. In that bubble, it was only the two of us suspended in our own world. In the depths of our secluded realm, a hush envelopes everything around us. I convinced myself that I had the power to walk away whenever I chose. I held the reins of power, until the moment slipped away from me. That night, every detail lingers vividly in my mind. The air hung heavy, the light dimmed, and an eerie silence enveloped everything, a palpable tension brewing before the tempest unleashed its fury. The evening unfolded like a scene from a captivating film, unbearably flawless. It felt unnervingly unsettling. A palpable tension hung in the air, as if the world held its breath, waiting for the inevitable moment to unfold. Even if you were unaware of what lay ahead, Diana had ventured out of town for the weekend, leaving behind a silence that whispered secrets in her absence. A journey for work. Only 2 nights remained. Her lips brushed against Leo's cheek, a fleeting moment that lingered in the air like a whisper of something more. He threw me a casual glance. "I appreciate you watching over him," and vanished as if it were mere triviality, as if it were just another day. Marcus found himself amidst the bustling atmosphere of a work conference. He hardly whispered a word about his departure. With a swift motion, I scrawled a note on the counter and vanished into the shadows for 3 long days. In that fleeting moment, it was just Leo and me, the world around us fading into silence. Within the confines of the house, isolated in the vast expanse of silence, the rain had been relentless since the break of dawn. As dusk fell, the heavens split wide, unleashing their fury. Thunder rumbled ominously, a deep and relentless growl that echoed through the air, like a secret murmured in the shadows. We remained indoors. He prepared the popcorn, the kernels crackling and popping in the heat, filling the air with a tantalizing aroma that promised a cozy evening ahead. As I twisted the cork from the bottle, the rich aroma of the wine enveloped me, promising an evening of indulgence and discovery. "Just 1 glass," I whispered to myself, a promise laced with temptation. Simply to unwind. We settled in, the familiar opening scene flickering to life on the screen, a film we had both watched countless times before, yet each moment felt like a new adventure waiting to unfold. A refuge from the chaos known, yet an unsettling tension hung in the air that night, as if danger lurked just beyond the shadows. Just as the movie reached its thrilling midpoint, darkness enveloped the room as the power abruptly cut out. In an instant, darkness enveloped everything. A heartbeat of stillness hung in the air. Then I heard him murmur, "I'll grab some candles." And he did, without hesitation, as if the very air around him crackled with the weight of his decision. He struck the match, igniting 3 flames that flickered to life in the darkness. Tiny treasures hidden within the depths of the kitchen drawer. The flickering glow cast a gentle haze over the world, transforming the ordinary into something ethereal. The walls seemed to close in, suffocating the air around me. It grew warmer, deeply personal. He edged nearer. Once more, our knees brushed against each other, igniting a spark that sent shivers down my spine. I remained frozen in place. The relentless patter of rain against the windows shattered the stillness, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation. And then he uttered the words. He began to unravel the depths of loneliness. In a world bustling with life and noise, there exists a haunting struggle, the profound ache of invisibility. Each day unfolds like a shadow, where voices blend into a cacophony, yet none seem to acknowledge your presence. The longing to be seen, to be heard, becomes a relentless whisper in the depths of your soul, echoing through the silence that surrounds you. It's a battle fought in the quiet corners of your mind, where the desire for connection clashes with the weight of solitude, leaving you to navigate the labyrinth of existence, unseen and unheard even in the midst of a bustling crowd. Everything felt so unreal, as if it were all a carefully crafted illusion. The hallowed halls of learning, where whispers of ambition and dreams intertwine, beckon the curious and the brave. In the realm of connections and encounters, where hearts race and emotions intertwine, the journey of dating unfolds like a captivating tale. Each meeting brims with anticipation, a dance of vulnerability and excitement, as two souls navigate the intricate web of attraction and desire. Engaging dialogues with girls of his generation, he whispered that no one truly hears anymore. In that moment, clarity washed over me like a tide, revealing truths I had long sought to grasp. In that moment, clarity washed over me like a tidal wave, and I finally grasped the truth that had eluded me for so long. I confessed to him that my heart echoed his sentiments. There were days when I drifted like a phantom, haunting the very existence I once knew. His gaze locked onto mine, and with a voice that resonated with conviction, he declared, "You deserve more than that. You have always been there." The silence enveloped everything, a heavy stillness that seemed to stretch on forever. The silence envelopes you thick and palpable, as if it's a living entity, challenging you to shatter its stillness. He leaned in, the air thick with anticipation. Yet I let him go. I ought to have. I am aware of that. A surge of regret washed over me. I should have risen to my feet, turned my back, uttered a word, any word at all. Yet I refrained. I surrendered to his kiss. As his fingers brushed against my skin, a shiver coursed through me. When his hand found the nape of my neck, drawing me in ever so slightly, an electric thrill surged within me. That ache I had buried for so long burst forth like a deluge, unstoppable and overwhelming. It was never meant to unfold this way. I never expected to experience the thrill of life coursing through my veins once more. Yet I did, and in those fleeting moments I found myself lost, consumed by a sense of disconnection that made me question everything. God forgive me, I didn't feel like a wife. Or perhaps an aunt. Or someone who ought to be aware of the consequences. A surge of desire enveloped me, a sensation that I was truly sought after, witnessed, adored. In that moment, as his fingers brushed against my skin, the world around me faded into oblivion. The bond of my marriage. My sister, a figure woven into the very fabric of my existence. Every instinct within me screamed to halt this before it even began. It had been years since I had experienced such an intense sense of closeness. But I was desperate to hold on to every fleeting moment. That night transformed the course of fate forever. But I can't help but feel that this was just the beginning. Yet it remained unchanged. Join heartfelt tales unfold to ensure you're swept away by the unexpected turns that lie ahead. The dawn that followed was unlike any other. He smiled at me, a glimmer of familiarity in his eyes, as if the world around us had paused, and nothing had shifted in the fabric of time, as if the very ground had not trembled and transformed beneath us. Yet, I found myself unable to return the smile. Not entirely, not in the way he had envisioned. The daylight cast a weighty shroud over everything, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Authentic, incorrect. As he extended his hand to grasp mine while offering the steaming cup of coffee, I found myself rooted in place, unable to pull away. It marked the dawn of chaos. It unfolded gradually, like the slow creep of shadows at dusk. It slinked in, silent and deliberate, like a thick mist that creeps in silently, wrapping around you until you find yourself gasping for breath. Leo began bombarding me with messages, his fingers dancing over the screen in a relentless rhythm. It began with the smallest of details. As the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, a warm smile spread across the face of the morning, inviting all to embrace the day ahead. Last night unfolded like a breathtaking dream. You linger in my thoughts, an unshakable presence that haunts my mind. My gaze was fixed on the phone, my heart racing wildly in my chest. Times I would respond. There were moments when I would erase the messages without even daring to glance at them. Yet, no matter the lengths I went to, the guilt clung to me like a shadow. It burrowed deep within, relentless and consuming, dwelling beneath my surface. And then, like a sudden storm breaking the stillness, Diana stepped through the door. The moment she stepped through the door, her voice cut through the air, a whisper laced with unease. "Something feels off in here." A laugh escaped me before I could catch it. I assured her it was merely the weather playing its tricks, but her gaze pierced through me, a deep and searching look that held a world of unspoken words. The unspoken bond between sisters, A silent understanding that something is amiss lingers in the air like a heavy fog. Leo maintained an air of calm confidence, perhaps a touch too cool. He maintained the same tone, the very same smile, yet there was a flicker in his gaze, an unspoken anticipation that hinted he was expecting something from me. A mysterious omen. A pivotal moment awaits, yet uncertainty gripped me as I pondered what to offer him. That very night Marcus returned. He pressed his weary lips against my forehead, a fleeting gesture of affection, before sinking into the chair at the dinner table, his silence heavy and palpable. But then, as he chewed thoughtfully, he suddenly looked up, piercing me with his gaze, and said, "You've been distant lately. Are you all right?" I stood still, my heart pounding in my chest. It wasn't just the words themselves, it was the way he delivered them that sent shivers down her spine. He felt no pangs of jealousy. He felt a strange calmness wash over him. His voice was barely a whisper, fragile and diminished, haunted by doubt. He was a man acutely aware that something had changed, yet the elusive nature of that shift danced just beyond his grasp. I confessed to him that exhaustion weighed heavily on my shoulders. The storm was the scapegoat. The same deceit lingers in the air. It was in that moment that I began to drift into the shadows. I ceased attending family dinners. She ceased her quiet vigil in the living room, where the air was thick with the presence of everyone gathered. She began to retreat into the shadows of the kitchen, seeking solace among the familiar scents and sounds, scrubbing plates that were already clean, steering clear of dialogue, shying away from the gaze, fleeing from my own reflection, because everything had transformed irrevocably. Each time my gaze fell upon Diana, an unbearable weight pressed down on my chest, as if a heavy brick had taken residence there. She spoke passionately about Leo's future, his dreams shimmering like stars in the night sky, his college plans unfolding like a grand adventure. I nodded, a smile plastered on my face, echoing all the right sentiments, but inside a storm brewed. Each word pierced through me, a relentless assault from within. I observed him from the shadows of the room, captivated by the way his gaze lingered on me when the world around us faded into silence. Times I found myself glancing back. Yet, the chasm that lay between us was now suffused with an oppressive silence. An oppressive silence hung between us, a weight neither of us could lift. Just when I believed the storm had passed, when I thought I could let this all fade into silence without tearing apart the fragile threads holding everything together, Diana stepped into the kitchen one fateful morning, coffee cradled in her hands, and casually dropped the bombshell. "Hey, Leo's got a college tour next weekend. I cannot accompany him. Could you possibly take him instead?" My gaze locked onto her. All that raced through my mind was the moment Diana asked me to chaperone Leo's college tour. Just the two of us. I betrayed not just my sister. I turned my back on my own truth. The words echoed in my mind, relentless and haunting. Inside the car, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Under the cascading water, steam enveloped the air, creating a world of its own. In the stillness of the night, I lay wide awake, my gaze fixed on the ceiling, grappling with the haunting question of how it all spiraled out of control. Excuses were futile. There was no tidy resolution that could erase the weight of my actions, what we had done. And yet, each time I attempted to bury it, to shove it deep within, to act as if it had never occurred, his face would emerge in my thoughts like a haunting specter. Those eyes held a world of secrets, drawing you in with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. Under the cloak of darkness, the night unfolded. His gaze pierced through me, as if I were a precious gem, something extraordinary in a world full of the ordinary. Yet, reality possesses a ruthless ability to shatter the illusions of fantasy. In the stillness of a college campus parking lot, I found myself captivated, my heart racing as I watched the boy who had once whispered that I was beautiful. His smile, tender and warm, now graced the face of a girl his age, radiating the same softness that had once enchanted me. It was a revelation I should have seen coming. He is but a youth, strikingly attractive, brimming with vitality. What girl at that age could possibly resist such allure? What could possibly keep him from being captivated by her? Her eyes sparkled with an unmistakable brilliance, vibrant. She possessed that reckless confidence unique to youth, as if the world had yet to leave its marks upon her. I observed him erupt in laughter at her words, a moment suspended in time. She reached out, her fingers brushing against his arm. He stood there, watching as she slipped away, surrendering to the moment. In that moment, a fracture echoed within me, not in fury, yet cloaked in shame. A grotesque, spiraling shame that claws at your insides, urging you to vanish into the shadows. I stood there, arms crossed, battling the urge to betray my emotions as I fought to keep my face an impenetrable mask, struggling to suppress the tide of emotions within. Yet, jealousy slithered in, uninvited and insidious, and lurking just behind it, a wave of disgust. Upon reflection, I found myself staring into the depths of my own soul, at all that we've allowed to unfold. Could this merely be a fleeting moment in his life? Is it a realm of magic and wonder? A rush of excitement? Did I confuse attention with true affection? Was I simply yearning to feel desired one final time before the world turned its gaze away from me? I found myself trapped in a whirlwind of thoughts, questioning what it was that I truly desired from him. Was it truly love? Or was it merely the mirage of love, cloaked in the tender radiance of being noticed, understood, and craved? For when the silence stretches on and the absence of touch becomes a haunting void, even the most misguided affection can seem like a lifeline, a desperate grasp at salvation. I wrestled with the idea of confessing, revealing the truth to Diana, embracing the weight of my actions. But how do you find the words to share something like that with your sister? How can one dismantle the very foundation of another's trust and still hope to emerge unscathed? How do you meet your husband's gaze and confess that your aching loneliness drove you into the arms of someone half your age? Someone who, in the presence of others, dares to call you auntie. The thoughts swirled relentlessly in my mind, replaying like a haunting melody that refused to fade away. Once more and yet again. In the beginning, I would set the stage, what I would express, yet fate never granted me that opportunity. Just when I believed the situation couldn't spiral any further into chaos, Diana stumbled upon Leo's journal. What choices would you have made? Is that true? I yearned to uncover the truth. Have you ever faced a decision that whispered of danger, yet you felt compelled to follow its dark allure? Yet, in that fleeting instant, it seemed utterly perfect. Absolutely correct. It hushed the world around it. Reasoning, shame clawed at the edges of her mind, a relentless specter that haunted her every thought. Rationale. Even love can be a tempest, swirling with passion and uncertainty. That's the tale of my life. And so, each day has slipped through my fingers, consumed by the weight of that moment. Struggling to unravel the tangled threads of understanding, struggling to comprehend how something so ephemeral could leave a wound so profound. It extends beyond the confines of my marriage. It extends beyond the confines of my family, yet deep within me. If you're still with me, I urge you to share your thoughts. Have you ever found yourself on the precipice, toes gripping the edge, your heart pounding with a desperate cry while your conscience pleads for restraint? Share your insights and guidance in the comments below. Somewhere in the shadows, a soul awaits your words, craving the connection they bring more than you can imagine. Don't let the next chapter of our entwined destinies slip through your fingers. Like, share, and subscribe to Heartfelt Tales Unfold, and be part of the journey. These tales belong to more than just me. They belong to each and every one of us. In the shadows of desire, where love intertwines with regret, temptation lurks, whispering secrets of truth yet to be unveiled. The narrator's voice fell to a hushed whisper, laden with a profound gravity, each word steeped in the wisdom of countless experiences. Love weaves a tapestry of complexity. The chaos was palpable, stunning, perilous, yet the agony of traversing boundaries we cannot reclaim lingers on. It endures through the ages. Leo forged ahead. Without a doubt, he did. He is still in the bloom of youth. The world continues to reveal its secrets before him. In the stillness of the moment, his image flickers to life in the photographs, haunting yet familiar. As if he remains blissfully unaware of the weight he carried away with him that fateful night. Yet I am aware. For I have yet to reclaim that lost version of myself, the iteration that found solace in deep, undisturbed slumber. The version that believed in the truth of her own reflection. The version that held steadfast to the belief that love and loyalty were inseparable forces, destined to intertwine forever. I embrace the weight of my choices now. Some days hold a flicker of hope amidst the shadows. There are days when, for a fleeting moment, I lose myself in the haze of forgetfulness. Yet the burden lingers, an unshakable presence that clings to the soul. Not at all. I'm sharing this tale not in search of absolution, but to illuminate the truth for someone out there, poised at the precipice where I once lingered. Perhaps, just perhaps, if you listen closely to the tale of what transpired in my life, you'll find yourself pausing for a moment of reflection, and not a step ahead. In the shadows of our hearts, the most profound scars often come from our own hands,